5 signs that you are dealing with a psychopath. I'll explain briefly and without unnecessary words. First, lack of empathy. Psychopaths are not only incapable of genuine compassion, but they also don't understand how it works. Empathy, that is. The ability to feel another person's pain and joy is a foreign concept to them. They may realize that someone is suffering, but it doesn't evoke any emotional response in them. For example, imagine a psychopath hears you talking about your loss or some kind of grief. They might respond with, "So what?" or switch to topics that are more important to them, as if your feelings don't matter at all. They may not understand why you are upset and see your feelings as a sign of weakness. Second, lying and manipulation. For psychopaths, lying isn't just a tool, it's a way of life. They lie for the sake of lying, to control others, to get what they want, or to avoid responsibility. Moreover, their lies are often so convincing and plausible that other people start doubting themselves. For example, if a psychopath makes a mistake or does something wrong, they can convince everyone that it wasn't their fault. They skillfully manipulate the facts, twisting everything so that their guilt is minimized. Psychopaths often shift responsibility onto others without feeling the slightest bit of shame. In addition, they may use lies to create a false sense of closeness and trust, when in reality, they are seeking to use you for their own purposes. Third, superficial charm. Psychopaths often use their appearance and charm to manipulate those around them and to hide their true intentions. At the beginning of your interactions with them, it is difficult to recognize their true nature, as they can be exceptionally charismatic and charming. However, this manner of communication does not last long, and once they achieve their goal, they begin to show their true colors. Example: a psychopath may immediately impress you with their wit, their attention to you, and sometimes with gifts and gestures of generosity, making you feel important. But all of this is nothing more than manipulation. When they no longer need you or have achieved their goal, their attitude can change dramatically. Fourth, lack of guilt and responsibility. Psychopaths are characterized by a complete lack of remorse. They do not feel guilty for causing pain to others. And even if their actions cause serious harm, they may justify it or simply not notice it. The absence of guilt allows them to keep moving toward their goals without stopping. For example, if a psychopath deceives someone, betrays them, or intentionally causes pain, they will act as if nothing happened. They may brush off other people's complaints and accusations, saying that it's not their problem, that they were just doing what they needed to do. This is a manifestation of complete lack of empathy and a refusal to acknowledge the consequences of their actions. Fifth, violation of rules and laws. Psychopaths often do not fear punishment because they do not feel fear or remorse when breaking laws or moral norms. They may be drawn to risky situations because they do not assess danger the way other people do. If they need to get something, they may stop at nothing. Example: a psychopath may be caught committing fraud, forging documents, violating labor laws, or even more serious crimes. They act in their own interests, often without any fear of consequences. For them, the result itself is important, and the process of achieving their goal is often accompanied by breaking every possible rule. What does all this look like in real life? A real-life example. Suppose you work with someone who, at first glance, is a true professional, charismatic, easily earns trust, and is pleasant to talk to. However, after some time, you start to notice strange things. He often changes the facts when you start asking him about certain matters. He seems completely unfazed when you feel uncomfortable because of his words or actions. When he is held accountable for mistakes, he dodges the issue and blames you for misunderstanding the situation. He constantly tries to manipulate other colleagues to arrange things to his advantage. All of this can be very hard to notice right away, especially if the person initially comes across as confident and charismatic. However, if you feel that you are being manipulated, that your emotions are being disregarded, and that the person does not care about the consequences of their actions, this could be a red flag. It is important to understand that only a specialist can diagnose psychopathy. Nevertheless, if you encounter such signs, it is important to stay alert and realize that such people can pose a threat not only to your emotional well-being, but also to your safety in more serious situations. Please like this video. I would be very happy if you leave a comment and subscribe so you don't miss new videos. See you next time.